Welcome back to the Journey to the FarLands. All right. Well, let's see. I got some stuff I need to get rid of here, so let's just get out of here and proceed towards getting on the way here. First up, there's nobody around of the nasty variety. Close that off. And let's see. I need to head west, which is that way. And directly doesn't seem to be going to happen, so we'll do a little bit of up and around here. And head up here, get around this stuff, and get on the way, onwards to the FarLands. All right, well, first thing I have to say is the cooler weather that I was enjoying is no longer a thing, and temperatures are going up into the high 80s, mid 90s, and that's nasty and uncomfortable, and of course that means the air conditioner is running. Now, as I always disclaim, I use Audacity to clean the microphone track up as much as I can. Although, as powerful as Audacity is, it can only do just so much, so if there is unpleasant noise in the background, my apologies. I've done everything I can to remove it. Anyway, moving onwards here, let's see how about a little bit of traditional start for the episode. The size of the world this morning is 5,885.17 megabytes. And this is the morning of the 486th Minecraft day since leaving spawn, in this 160th episode for your basic August 30th of 2018. I hope I don't have to keep going up too much. I really don't want to be in the clouds. Here we go. A little bit of non-lethal down, as opposed to lethal down, which basically results in a splat and waking up at the last place you had a bed. Yeah. Fortunately, that hasn't happened in this series at all so far, so I think I'm doing pretty good to go 160 episodes without dying. Yeah. Anyway, moving onwards here, journeying in the general westward direction as directly as I can manage. And let's see, stopping to get rid of junk that I don't need. I don't need extra cobble. I don't need more than one stack of dirt. I do need to have an axe on hand and a shears because I need wood and wool. I saw a sheep just... Oh, wait a minute. There he is. Get over here, you. And you. So I'll need to collect some wool to get that stack back up to about a stack, and I need to collect some logs as well. And so I just grab a few of those here while I'm in a forest-like area. Okay, moving on. Grabbing another tree. Okay. Looks like it's time for a boat. Oh, that's cool. A little bit of smooth sailing will go over very nicely here. Okay, yes, it's been a while since the last episode. July 23rd, as a matter of fact, which, to my mind, personally, I consider that scandalous. It's terrible that I go that long between episodes, because my original goal with this was to do 3 or perhaps 4 episodes per week with this thing, and here I am doing 3 and 4 and 5 weeks per episode. which is ridiculous, to say the very least. And, yeah. Let's see, addressing another common question, why are you using this old version of Minecraft? Because beta 1.7.3 is the last version in which the FarLands actually exist. In beta 1.8, there was a change made that removed the FarLands. And so that's why this series uses beta 1.7.3. Okay, which reminds me I should be making some more torches. That'll do. Actually, that'll be more than do. Because now I have 4 odd ones out of stack, so I'll need to use them at some point. Anyway, proceeding onwards, the whole thing with Journey to the FarLands is a vlog-like thing set in the world of Minecraft as I travel westward toward the FarLands, which is located approximately 12.5 million blocks from spawn, and features some really crazy terrain generation and whatnot. And I'm heading west to go have a look. Anyway, along the way, raising money for Child's Play Charity, a worthy organization that provides books and games and toys and whatnot to kids in hospitals, because being in the hospital is a bad enough experience as it is, but look at it from a kid's point of view. It's this big scary place with a lot of scary things happening, and on top of that, of course, they're sick or have some kind of illness and condition or whatever that they need to be in the hospital for treatment for, and that's all scary and worrisome and whatnot. And books, toys, and games and whatnot, hey, let's help get their minds off of the ugly reality that they find themselves pushed into. You know, I mean, I'm 59 years old, and going to the hospital is almost that thrilling for me. Imagine what it would be like for somebody 40 or 50 years younger. You know? Yeah. Not exactly what you would call an ideal vacation time. So, I think that Child's Play Charity is doing a great thing, and this series is intended to help support them, along with me getting turned around in the woods. Let's make sure I'm facing the right direction here. I have on occasion gotten seriously turned around and walked for an entire episode in exactly the opposite direction that I needed to, which was really embarrassing on the 3 or 4 times that I've done that. Which is why I keep the compass on the hotbar, so that I have at least a shot of, at least a shot of noticing it before I get too far in the wrong direction. Anyway, yeah. Heading onwards here. And one of the things that has always been kind of a stumper for me is that when I start out in one of these episodes, I like to have a topic or 3 already figured out, picked out for discussion while I'm walking, you know, because a journey to the FarLands is actually nothing that anybody would want to watch if there isn't some kind of commentary or conversation or some kind of a reasonable yakathon along the way. And so I tend to rely on viewer comments and questions and things like that for talking material along the way. And that has always been very helpful, although there are times when there isn't any such thing. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, except that it kind of puts a damper on what I'm trying to do. And because I don't feel right starting without some idea of what I'm going to be talking about for the next generally 30 or 35 minutes that a Minecraft day that is what it takes for 3 Minecraft days to pass. Of course, I've already blathered through 1 Minecraft day. How about that? And there's another thing that gets questioned. I set the bed, I sleep through the night, and I leave it. And more than a few times, people have suggested, hey, why don't you break the bed, pick it up, take it with you. That way you don't have to keep making them. Yeah, that's true. But the reason for it, doing that, is that in the unfortunate, unlooked for, unwanted likelihood that I should happen to die at some point, that bed that I'm leaving behind is the place that I would respawn. As opposed to respawning back at the original spawn point, which is a long trip back that way. It would be like, it would literally be starting over. And I don't want to do that. And so leaving the beds behind is a safety net. It prevents me from losing much in the way of progress. I've got an ice plane here, so that's going to make for a lot less jumping around, at least while I can stay on it. So there we go. And anyway, I was talking about not having things to talk about, which is kind of a strange subject, if you think about it. And yeah. And then I had kind of a revelation. What I need to do is, even if I don't see that I've got this or that to talk about or discuss or whatever, get rid of that, get rid of this, there. And that is to just start recording and start talking and go on about whatever. Just let the conversation go wherever it will, which is usually kind of what happens anyway. And that by doing that, I actually have a reasonable shot at being able to make my 3 to 4 episode per week goal with this thing. I really do want to get that done. I mean, I've had all kinds of really insane, inexcusably long breaks. Well, in my mind, inexcusable, I'm sure, and I know for a fact from previous experience of people saying so, that viewers are not upset by me taking long breaks. They know that real life is a thing and that issues happen and you do what you can with what you've got, yada, yada, yada. That's all fine and dandy, but to me, from my personal point of view, it feels inexcusable to have had some of the several month-long breaks that have happened in this series, and so on. But enough about the past. We'll just deal with right now, because that's the thing. And there's a thing too, and it's becoming more epic as I get closer to it and more of it renders. That is cool. As a matter of fact, turn the HUD off, screenshot, that's a thumbnail. That's what that is. Yeah. And of course, it just occurred to me that there's another thing that people ask. Why don't you ever sprint in this series? Because in beta 1.7.3, sprint did not exist. sprinting was not added until beta 1.8, along with hunger was not added until beta 1.8. And so I can't do those things because they don't exist in this version. And besides that, honestly, I'm not in that big of a hurry. If I was in that big of a hurry, I'd have 2 or 3 episodes a day, you know. And people would start to wonder if I'm ever going to do anything else. And start going, oh God, he's got another one of those up. You know. I can just see that. But, there we go. Oops, brief break, pause. Okay, onwards. Oh, what can I say? The pauses are sometimes really unavoidable, and they are often caused by the fact that I take 40 milligrams of Lasix every morning. And Lasix is a medication, well, it's what they call a diuretic, and when you take a diuretic every morning, it gives you a new hobby. And that new hobby tends to cause sudden, unannounced, unforeseen needs for a quick break. Yeah. And, you know, it's like I've been saying for years that I very, very, very much look forward to the day when I will no longer need to take 40 milligrams of Lasix per day. And I can go back to doing things on a more normal kind of basis, as in not having to get up and run to the throne room to take care of that issue 4 and 5 times every day in the morning. And that's just in the morning. In the 4 or 5 hours after I take the pills, at least 4 or 5 times to go take care of business in the morning during that 4 or 5 hours after I take it. And, you know, in addition to normal activity during the remainder of the day. Yeah. Oh, God, I just realized I've become one of those people. You know, the ones I'm talking about, that spend god-awful amounts of time talking about their medical issues of one form or another, and considering that to be valid conversation. Well, I suppose in a way, but I also realize and remember from when I was much younger, I thought conversation like that was incredibly boring. But on the other hand, it's something that I have to talk about. And, well, hey, never mind. I got something for you. It's sort of kind of medically related, but it's also frustration related. And that is got to do with batteries. Not car batteries or anything, or flashlight batteries, but those little coin batteries. I had to do something today, earlier, and I went first thing this morning because I've been saying, oh, I'll do it later today for about 3 or 4 days now, and I still haven't done it. So today I did it. I went down to Walmart, and I specifically to get new battery for my blood glucose meter. This is the meter that I use every morning to check my blood glucose level, because diabetic. And recently the battery got low enough that the meter refused to test. Apparently it no longer has enough power to do the test or something like that. I don't know. But that means basically change the battery. The battery is common enough. It's a coin type battery, a CR2032. It's about the size of a nickel. And yeah, now I've had this meter for, this particular meter I've had for a little over 3 years. And all this time it's been running on the battery that it came with. And so I go into Walmart and I'm looking for CR2032 batteries. And I find 6 packs of them, which is cool, except if one battery will last this thing for 3 years, a 6-pack is going to be, what, a 15 or 20 year supply? I don't want to buy that much battery if I only need one. You know, it's that simple. I see no point in buying 6 of them if one is going to last for 3 years. And I know it's going to last for 3 years because the one that came with the thing lasted for 3 years. And so I'm looking around in the battery section, and you know, the stand that they have near the checkouts. In the Walmart where I go to, there is 2 such, one at each end of the store. Next to the express lane checkouts, there is a stand with varieties of batteries. I checked both of those. I found 4-packs and I found 6-packs. I found a place for 2-packs, but there wasn't any there. And I went down to electronics to ask and search there. They don't have any such thing down there. Strangely enough, electronics does not have batteries. The first thought that goes through my mind is, huh? Electronics doesn't have batteries? Oy. Next you're going to tell me they sell bread in electronics. Anyway. But they did tell me that if I went up to the photo section, they have all kinds of batteries like that. So I go up to photo section. And they do have an assortment of batteries in photo section because modern cameras are electronic, they need batteries and so on. But there was no CR2032s of any package size in that region. Most of the batteries were not even of the coin type. Most of them are of the AA and AAA and C and D varieties, or even some 9 volts, you know, because cameras tend to use a little more power than coin batteries are going to have. And even then, they're going to run out fairly often, and so forth and whatnot. So they didn't have what I needed. So I ended up having to buy a 4-package of batteries because I needed a battery for the thing, and I needed it now. And unfortunately, the only package available in the size I needed was a 4-pack. Well, I take that back. There was also 6-packs, but I'm darn sure not going to buy 6 of these things if one of them is going to last for 3 years. So now I'm left with the thing of what am I going to do with these other 3 batteries? And the answer is simply, I'm going to stick them in the freezer and hope that I don't forget they're in there. And the reason for putting them in the freezer is that cold slows down the chemical reaction that makes batteries work. So if you put them in the freezer, they will last a lot longer. This is actually quite real. Because like I said, it slows down the chemical reaction that makes them work. So that's cool. I figure it might actually be a thing. I might actually remember and get them out in 3 years and take a second battery out of that pack. I have very few, if any, illusions about whether or not I will actually ever get to use the other 2 batteries. I figure there's a reasonable, although small, chance that I might use one of the other 3, but I have serious doubts that I'll ever get to use all of them. And I wouldn't care, except that's 4 package of batteries cost me $7.50. $7.50 for 4 batteries, which means if I had been able to find a single pack, I probably could have gotten it for $1.50 to $2. And that makes more sense to me. You know, the device only uses 1, and the 1 will last for 3 years. Why in God's name should I have to buy 3 or 4 or 6 or whatever when I only need 1? Yeah. It's just... Shut up, Kyle. I'm talking here. It's just one of those things, you know? It just doesn't make any sense to me, and it bugs me that I had to do that. And I did have to do it because I need that meter. I need to know my blood glucose level, because if I don't know what it is, then it's almost impossible to control, because if you're going to control it, you need to be able to test it on a daily basis to know what it is. I mean, I can do a lot just by keeping my carbohydrate counts down and try to keep the calories at a reasonable level and so on. I know the sorts of things to eat to keep my carbs down and to keep my blood sugar down, because what I have found is that by keeping my carbohydrates down, my calories and my blood sugar come down as part of that. You keep that one thing down and it brings everything else into line. This is really good, and I know to do that. But still, a diabetic should test blood sugar at least once a day. And that's just the way that is. Because you never know when something or whatever is going to change. You never know when something is going to cause the blood sugar to go too high or too low, both of which are bad. And yeah, I mean, in addition to what you eat, there is medical conditions and whatnot that can change it. Antibiotics will send your blood sugar up through the roof. It will. I've seen that happen with mine. I've had times where normally my blood sugar would be reading in the range of 150 or so. Start taking an antibiotic for whatever reason, and blood sugar shoots up over 300. You know, so that can happen. That's a thing. But the insanity of it all, you know, and I know I'm just yammering on and on and on about like $5 worth of stuff. You know, I've got $5 worth of batteries here that I might never use because I couldn't buy just one. And it's infuriating. And okay, yeah, I know. Somebody's going to say, well, go to Radio Shack. They got all kind of stuff and they'll sell you one at a time. Yeah. I used to be a big fan of Radio Shack. But you know something? The nearest Radio Shack to me is 50 miles away from my front door. And I am not, I repeat, not going to even consider thinking about the idea of driving 50 miles for a battery the size of a nickel. No, I'm not going to do it. And besides which, I don't like to travel much. I never did like to do a whole lot of traveling. Well, in real life. In Minecraft, it's a different thing. But in real life, I don't like to do a whole lot of traveling. I don't like to drive long distances. And for about the last 10 or 15 years, I don't drive long distances. I avoid it like the plague. I'll do what I have to, what is essential, but not 1 mile more than that. Yeah. So driving 50 miles to get to the nearby Radio Shack, no, it ain't going to happen. And what could I say? I live in rural northeast Arkansas. And literally the nearest Radio Shack is 50 miles from here. It's 50 miles from my front door. I've clocked it. Meanwhile, another thing I should clock is the time of day. This is the getting into the evening of the third Minecraft day, so I need to be finding a place to dig in. And I think perhaps the side face of this structure here is going to be where I dig in for the end of the episode. Hidey hole right about there. So I get digging in here. And I know it's real dark, so the first thing is to find a spot to put a torch. And the second thing is to get out the workshop or the workbench and get myself... Oh, I already had sticks. Jeez. Oh well. Get myself a new pickaxe. Finish this job. Get this thing dug out. Oh, I didn't want to be up there digging. Okay. Just about sufficiently dug out. Alright, I think that'll probably do. And another torch up here. And the bed. Back there. Got 3 more beds put together. Let's get a few more logs. Get some more boats. Okay. And I'm just going to plug that. And I think that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. And hopefully episode 161 will be a lot sooner than this was, for, you know, a lot closer after this one. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I am out of here.